Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So here's another deck profile update today. So this time it's on Shaddolls. So Shaddolls actually won the poll, so naturally I decided to go back to it and actually change it up. So this is a little different than my previous build. It is still pure Shaddol, but this time I decided to cut the Magistus engine entirely and just kind of like try more, well, just basically experiment with it a little bit more and add more disruptions rather than more than combo pieces. So yeah, that's pretty much what I figured to go with this time around, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this. So, same as usual, this deck is 40 cards, and starting off with 3 copies of Shaddoll Windy. This is definitely the best card in the entire deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon a Shaddoll monster in face down defense. And flip summon, you can special summon a Shaddoll monster from your deck in face up or face down defense. So it's a good way just to get cards out of your deck. Next, we got 3 copies of Squamata. Squamata is the Foolish Burial deck that in Construct. So both basically do the same thing. You can send any Shaddol card to the grave as long as it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect. And flip effect, you can also pop a monster. So yeah, pretty good in that, right? So, you know, if you need to get around floodgate monsters like Vanity's Fiend, that's a good way to do that. Next, 2 copies of Shaddol Hedgehog. So this is basically your searcher. If it's flip summoned, you get a spell or trap. If it's sent to the grave by an effect, you get to search out a Shaddol monster. And for my utility cards, I am running 1 copy of Beast, you know, just to draw 1 card, 1 Falco as a free extender, 1 Shaddol Dragon just to get rid of spells and traps. I am running the new Shaddol Genius. I'm not running Hell Shaddol Hollow anymore simply because he was more of a brick than anything else. Shaddol Genius is definitely the better pick of the two. And what's cool about this card is that it forces out a negate. So flip effect, you can target 1 Shaddol monster you control. That face-up monster is unaffected by monster effects this turn except its own. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target 1 effect monster on the field. Neither player can activate that target's effects on the field this turn. So, again, this is pretty good because, like, if you're going second and you send this off, again, you can force out any form of negation, and the fact that you can chain block it too. So it's kind of like a pseudo effect veiler in a way. So yeah, Shaddol Genius can be pretty devastating if your opponent isn't really prepared for what it actually does. Next, 1 copy of Ariel. I was thinking of bumping this up to 2, but for this format, I think 1 is just fine simply because, like, against Tri-Brigade, you know, Banishment isn't really practical because, you know, they can easily get their resources back. It's probably better against Tri-Brigade or even Drytron, but, you know, it's really iffy about it. So, again, 1 Ariel should be just fine, but I don't know. I'll let you guys tell me in the comments what you guys think. But anyway, that's it for the Shaddol monsters themselves. Now moving on to my starter engine. 3 copies of Mathematician. I am still running 3 of these simply because, you know, he gets my combo started, and plus you can just link him off for Artemis just to get a free light monster regardless. And even if your opponent tries to effect veiler it and you are forced to, you know, use one of your spells like Shaddol Fusion, it's a good way just to dodge it and you still get a free monster out of it. So yeah, Mathematician is still pretty nuts. And 1 copy of Trick Clown, so, you know, just as another extender piece, and it's also a free light. Naturally, I am running the Dragoon package, 1 Dark Magician, and 1 Red Ice Black Dragon. These are pretty much the only bricks of the deck, but, you know, it is what it is, you know. Hopefully when the new Destiny Hero monster comes out, I'll probably try that out instead, see how that works. Alright, so moving on to hand traps already. So my hand trap lineup is a little bit more specific this time around. I am running 3 copies of Effect Veiler just because it is a light monster. And as I mentioned on my last video, Effect Veiler and Perm are probably the most impactful hand traps this format, especially against the Tri-Brigade matchup. Even though Tri-Brigade did get a slight hit, the deck is still very much playable. And the main target you mostly want to aim for is probably going to be Fractal. As soon as they normal summon it and pay the cost, you know, to banish, hit it with an Effect Veiler, and that or an Impermanence. Keep in mind, Forbidden Chalice does work too, because Forbidden Chalice is being played right now as a budget alternative. So yeah, if you don't have Impermanence, Forbidden Chalice is still just as good. But yeah, I felt like these 2 were, in particular, were definitely going to be the best picks. So yeah, Effect Veiler and Imperm is not something to scoff at, especially with Impermanence having that additional negation if it was set and negates a spell in its current column. So yeah, it's pretty bad. And last but not least, 2 copies of Nibiru. And the reason I'm running this is simply because in my build right here, I like to go second. So this is basically a blind second Shaddol deck. And plus, Nibiru is still really good against the Prank Kids matchup. You know, we do have some Salad players at my locals too, aside from myself. So yeah, Nibiru can be a very devastating card. So yeah, as long as you know when to properly use it, you should be fine. All right, so that's pretty much it for the monster lineup, and of course, 3 of my trap cards. Moving on to spells, 3 copies of Shaddol Fusion. I mean, I can't stress enough how good this card is. 3 El Shaddoll fusion, 2 super poly, you know, just because your opponent can't really respond to it, and 1 copy of Red Ice fusion for the Dragoon package. And let's not forget the 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Alright, and aside from impermanences, the only other trap cards I am running are 2 copies of Red Shaddoll Incarnation, one of the coolest trap cards ever printed, along with the 1 copy of Shaddoll Schism. This is getting a reprint coming up. I believe it's going to be in a Prismatic Secret, which I cannot wait. So, yeah. So don't rush to get this now. Just wait till the Mega Tins come out. It should be a lot cheaper then. Alright, so now moving on to the extra deck. 3 copies of El Shaddoll Construct. This is basically one of the ways you can search out... she helps you get access to your Schism a lot faster. 2 Winda, you know, it's a floodgate. 1 App Clone, permanent negation, but also has a cool searching effect. 1 Shekinaga, negates the effects of a special summon monster. 1 Starving Venom for a super poly target, and of course the 1 copy of Dragoon. You know, I don't want to get into too much detail about these. I mean, everyone should already know what these do, so yeah. Alright, now moving on to the Link lineup. The Link lineup is slightly changed. It's not too different, but starting off with 1 copy of Artemis. You know, again, Mathematician, you could just literally link it off for this, and you can easily get access to a construct. 1 Gravity Controller, 1 Verite Anaconda, 1 Cross Sheep. I decided to cut the Selene and Axis Code package to try this one out. I wanted to try out IP Masquerena, and of course 1 Mech Knight Crusader Avermax. Avermax is super easy to make with this deck, and the fact that, you know, you just require 2+ monsters to summon from the extra deck. With a Gravity Controller, an IP, and maybe 1 of your fusion monsters like a construct, you could just make this and you're pretty much set to go, and your opponent has to attack it, so, and he gains attack points. And with IP's protection from being destroyed by card effects, you know, basically outs Dragoon himself also. So yeah, Avermax is definitely not a bad card to consider, and, you know, just try them out and see how you like it. Alright, so now for the side deck. The side deck is vastly different. I mean, there are some things still remain the same, but a few things did make some changes. So starting off with 3 copies of Phantasme. Phantasme just because, you know, it gives you additional cards just to fix up your hand. And again, I was thinking of main decking this instead of the Dragoon package, but I just wanted to try out the Dragoon package more. And yeah, I figured Phantasme on the side was fine. The new addition to my side deck is Contact C. So this card is seeing a lot of play now, and yeah, I can see why. This card is super annoying. It stops Tri-Brigade. It can actually stop Prank Kids to an extent. As long as they don't have like a generic lane 2 that literally just requires 2 monsters, this card can actually slow down certain decks, and yeah, it's pretty annoying to deal with. For backrow heavy strategies, 2 Cyclone and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. You know, IO is still being played, so gotta watch out for that. Actually, and this is actually the newest addition to my deck, and actually I highly underestimated this. I'm actually playing 3 copies of Mask of Restrict. And the reason for this is simply because, well, not just because cards can't be attributed, but here's the thing. It protects you from kaijus, because, you know, like if you play your Dragoon, your opponent's going to want to kaiju that thing. Against Drytron, shuts them down. In fact, this shuts down any ritual deck because, you know, ritual spells require you to tribute. It stops Artifact Lancia because, you know, Lancia actually doesn't discard for cost. It tributes itself from hand or field as cost. So yeah, Mask of Restrict can actually be a very annoying card if your opponent can't really play against it. And every now and then you may encounter that 1 random Draco matchup, which honestly you shouldn't even worry about that in the first place. Mask of Restrict can be the card that can stop it. So yeah, it's stupid. Again, it's mostly just to protect you from kaijus, but, you know, against any other tributing effects, this is definitely the card to go with. So yeah, next 2 copies of Evenly Matched. You know, just because, again, I'm going second, and I mostly just want to try to clear boards. And, of course, the 1 copy of Red Reboot, just to stop with any other trap-heavy strategy. So, yeah, Red Reboot can be a pretty devastating card. But, you know, it's only at 1, sadly. All right, well, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.